meeting, I text Counselor Peggy Sue Martinez to see if she was going to be joining us. So we'll give her just a couple more minutes before we get started. Thank you, everybody, for your patience.
Okay.
New RF technologies.
Counselor Richie's having a concert.
Getting our groove on.
Just want to give everybody an update. Counselor Peggy Sue did text back, and she'll be joining us here in a few minutes. So we'll go and wait for her. Thank you all. All righty, everybody. Looks like we've got everybody with us. It is now 6:04 today, the third day of March of 2021. I hereby call this meeting to order. If we can have roll call, and we will determine if we got ourselves a quorum.
Counselor Manuel J. Martinez,
I'm here.
Counselor Peggy Sue Martinez,
Honored to be with you all.
Counselor John Ritchie,
Present.
Committee Chair Justin Salazar Torres.
Present. Thank you. Looks like we've got ourselves a quorum. Counselors, before you, we have the approval of the agenda, and I do ask that under action, discussion, recommendation items to full council, item number 4 be moved to our next Public Safety Committee meeting for next month. Other than that, counselors, at your leisure.
Motion to approve as presented by the chair.
Second.
All righty, thank you. We have a motion from Counselor Peggy Sue Martinez and a second from both Counselor Ritchie and Counselor Manny Martinez. If we can have a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Manuel J. Martinez,
For the motion?
Counselor Peggy Sue Martinez,
In favor?
Counselor John Ritchie,
In favor.
Committee Chair Justin Salazar Torres.
In favor. All righty, sounds good. Looks like we've got ourselves an agenda. All righty, next item on our agenda is public comment. I do know that we had several individuals that have signed up for public comment. However, I do not see anybody as of yet here in the chambers or signing on. Actually, somebody just signed on. Is anybody here for public comment? And just for the record, we did have an Edward Martinez, an Elisama Cano, and a Fred Romero that had signed up for public comment. However, counselors, if it's all right with you, if they join us a little bit later, we can move this item back up. Some people may be getting out of work a little bit late, etc. So I want to make sure we give the public a little bit of time. Is that all right with you, counselors?
That's fine with me. Do we have phone numbers that we might be able to reach out to them on?
For 2 of them, I do not have. For 1 of them, I do. I'll shoot a text here in a bit. For the first 2, do we have any contact information? just email via email. So we'll do our very best. And like I said, if they do sign on or do come into chambers, I'll yield the floor to them as well. All righty. Councilors, we will move on our agenda to the approval of, and excuse me, do we have, actually, I did see somebody on here. Mr. Ortiz, did you want to speak for public comment, sir?
I didn't know if you wanted me to speak now or if you wanted me to speak a little bit. I thought we were on the agenda for an update.
We can wait till then, sir. I just want to make sure I give you the opportunity.
Yeah, it's up to you, whatever you guys prefer.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, sir. We'll wait until matters from the chair. Thank you. Councilors, before you is the approval of the Public Safety Committee meeting minutes for January the 6th of 2021. Councilors, do I hear a motion?
Motion to
Motion
approve
to approve?
January.
All
We have
righty.
to do each individual, correct?
Yes,
'Cause so the motion for January 6 minutes?
already we have a motion from Councilor Ritchie, and we'll say a second from Councilor Manny Martinez. If we can get a roll call
Second,
vote.
sir.
Counselor Peggy Sue Martinez,
In favor?
Counselor Manuel J. Martinez,
In favor.
Counselor John Ritchie,
In favor?
Committee Chair Justin Salazar Torres,
In favor. Looks like we've got ourselves some meeting minutes. All righty, we will move on to the Public Safety
Nope,
Committee
we have-
meeting minutes.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Councilor Ritchie?
no, I'm sorry. I was jumping the gun.
All right, for February the 3rd of 2021. Looks like we have a motion from Councilor Ritchie, and if we can get a second from,
I'll second, sir.
all righty, we got a second from Councilor Manny Martinez. We can get a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Peggy Sue Martinez,
In favor?
Counselor Manuel J. Martinez,
In favor.
Counselor John Ritchie,
In favor?
Committee Chair Justin Salazar Torres,
All righty, we are good to go. Thank you, in favor. And actually, Mr. Pablo Montoya, I see that you're on. Did you have anything for public comment? Mr. Montoya, we cannot hear you. Nothing at all, sir. Okay, already we'll yield the floor, or we'll go ahead and move on just for a little bit. Next item on our agenda is our committee member comments. And of course, council's last meeting, I did bring up that if we may please bring up some issues within the district, especially speaking with our fellow councilors that we share a district with. Councilors, I'll yield the floor to yourself, and we'll start, of course, with ladies first. Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez.
Thank you, Chairman Torres Salazar. First and foremost, thank you to our frontline workers, all public safety, fire department, police department. Special recognition to those that work at the Espanola Hospital and those that have continued to be working full time since the pandemic has started. Seems like we're starting to make a little bit of a turn on what's happening in the 87532 zip code. That's really good. And it seems like we are making a dent in our community to those that need to be vaccinated. I'm still receiving a lot of inquiry from people that are a little under 75. Those between 65 and 75 are still awaiting their turn to be a priority. So we look forward to that. I'm just really grateful for everybody that's out there keeping our community safe and doing whatever they can. I do have some concerns. Some of them in your district, Councilor Torres Salazar. I talked to the city manager last week about some tires that are near the ditch area off of Hemis and McCurdy. There's that real beautiful area where that ditch runs, and it's real pretty in the summertime. And there's 11 tires out there in that area that are thrown. And then there's another couch that's thrown. I don't know if it's inside of a fence or outside of a fence. So I don't know if it's on private property or if it's on public right of way, but there's a couch right outside of the street off of what is your street, Justin?
It is right off of Calle Chicoma Vista, and yeah, I brought that up, I think, last
Yeah.
public safety meeting. So yeah, they're working on it.
So that's still out there. It looks a little bit worse now because it's gotten beat up more since it's been there and stuff. So that's concerning. And then just also the amount of tires and stuff that are getting thrown in the arroyo over here on Prince Drive. At any given time, there could be 4 to 6 tires out there. And I just, it's horrible that people do that and they don't have regard for the community, and just the Prince Drive always is in need of trash pickup. The bottles there are ridiculous. It's amazing how many people throw bottles out their window there. So just those kinds of things that are happening around us. I've also had a lot of concern with the trash across from Walmart in those 2 lots. People are really, really disgusted with all the trash that's flying from that business area across the street into that land. So maybe if we could just have like a little cleanup in that area, at least, that would probably be good. I would be willing to help with that. So those are really my main concerns at this time with public safety. Thank you.
All righty, thank you, ma'am. We will go to Counselor Manny Martinez.
Thank you, Chair. Again, just to echo Councilor Martinez, just want to thank all the people that are still out there doing what they need to do and need to get done. The firefighters, I know that they had a pretty good fire. I know that they attended one of my fellow employees at Hamas Electric. He unfortunately lost his house there in Lower San Pedro. But I thank all the firefighters and everyone that went out there to help him with that. Thank you, guys. And of course, all the frontline workers that are out there with as far as the nurses, of course, doctors and everybody at the hospital, but the police department, thank you guys for everything that you're doing. The issue that I'm still getting from people is, of course, I know we've always had the issue of the panhandlers at the intersections, but now they're going back to in front of Walgreens and different businesses, McDonald's, and I don't know if there is anything we can do about that. Without the businesses actually calling, but I've had many calls on that issue, and that is concerning because they're not just sitting out, but they're actually going from car to car requesting money, knocking on windows of the car, that kind of stuff. And I don't know if there is anything that the police department can do unless they're called upon on that issue. As far as the trash, I know that that's been an issue that has happened within the Santa Cruz ditch for many years. What Councilor Martinez has brought up as far as tires and other trash that they're bringing and just dumping into the ditches. I don't know if there's what we can do to not just keep it clean, but to remedy that possibly for the future, sirs. But that's pretty much it. There's a few conditions I'd like to bring up, but they're more for public works as far as the road conditions are, see if there's anything that they can do in those areas. But as far as for land and plan loose, I just want to see if they could give an update if there's been any type of movement on the property across. I brought this up several months back on the property across McCurdy School, where the fence is pretty much fallen down and overgrowing into the road, to see if there's anything that they've got as far as the owners of that property to clean that area up, sir. Other than that, thank you, sir.
All righty, thank you, Counselor. Counselor Ritchie.
Thank you, sir. Likewise, want to thank all our frontline responders for all the work they've done and to keep us safe, and the extra hours they've had to put in, and leaving their families, and continue having them in our prayers. And again, thank you for all their efforts to keep us safe. And right now, I don't have any other comments, Chair.
All righty, thank you, Counselor Ritchie. I do appreciate that. We will move on to matters from the chair. We do have an update from regarding the OHV ordinance issues that we have encountered. I will yield the floor to our city manager, Javier Martinez. He will be giving us an update and where we stand currently. Mr. Martinez, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Public Safety Committee. Thank you for this introduction. So I've been communicating with Chief Jimenez and also with our legal team, Mr. Jonas Nahum, in regards to this adoption of or draft adoption of this ordinance for OHV, off-highway vehicle usage. We received a redlined amended ordinance from our legal team, pretty much going through on an update. So with that said, I'll have Mr. Chief Jimenez, if he's available, to chime in as well on this in regards to a little bit more detail.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Mr. Martinez, thank you. So this was the red line version of an ordinance that I brought up initially when it was requested. I'm gonna guess maybe about 4 or 5 months ago now, when this topic first came up. So the OHV ordinance is there. We also have an ordinance that is already in our municipal code. However, we could also possibly amend that ordinance to add the side-by-sides and UTVs. That specific off-highway vehicle ordinance was just for four-wheelers and three-wheelers, vehicles that were mounted, and not the side-by-sides that we have today. So there's a couple of different options where you all can go with it. We can amend an ordinance, or the ordinance there you have in front of you. That's what we had from legal when we first brought this forward.
And counselors, I'll chime in there. It unfortunately, for whatever reason, it was not hyperlinked, the original ordinance that was redlined for us, but I'm sure that you all remember a few months ago when it was presented before us. I have it right in front of me, and I'll just read the top part of it. And it is an ordinance authorizing the operation of recreational off-highway vehicles and all-terrain vehicles on paved streets owned and controlled by the city of Espanola. And that's a big period at the end of that. So counselors, it is before you. We have several ways we can go about this. It is unfortunately not an action item tonight. However, I am more than willing, again, at your leisure, whatever you all prefer, to hold a special meeting regarding this ordinance. Here, as long as we give the clerk's department and our staff enough notice to advertise our special meeting regarding this ordinance, to present it before us so we can move it forward to full council. Once we do move it forward to full council, the city manager and clerk's departments will go ahead and do the proper advertisement of a minimum of 15 days, so we can have a public hearing regarding the ordinance. Instead of amending the ordinance we have in the books, we will go forward with this ordinance that is drafted before us. Council, do you have any questions, concerns, comments regarding the path that you would like to take with this? And I see a mic unmuted, and we'll go with Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez.
Thank you, Chairman Torres Salazar. I really feel like this is a situation where people have been waiting for a long time for the city to resolve something on their behalf. And I really feel like we should try and move as quickly as possible with this. So I have no issue with directing the clerk's office to go ahead and advertise that if it requires that we have a special meeting for public safety to put it on the end of the month's agenda. I have no issue with that. That'll be fine by me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Ritchie, any comments, concerns, questions?
I just want to clarify, she said end of the month's agenda for the council meeting, or for having a meeting, how soon for us?
Okay, and the only reason why I brought up quote unquote a special meeting is so nobody thought that I was going rogue and just moving forward with guiding the city manager and clerk's department to go ahead and start advertising. If you all are more than welcome, or if you all are willing, we can just go ahead and move this forward and have them start advertising and bring it forth. I believe we are within our 15-day notice before the 23rd city council meeting, full city council meeting. So if we go ahead and guide them,
Chairman, is that if it went to the clerk she would be able to get it in next Wednesday's paper. And then you'd have to start counting 15 days advertisement from then, which would put us on the 24th. That would be the day after the next council meeting.
Correct. And if I'm not mistaken, city manager, if you can chime in on this, I know that for one, we utilize the Rio Grande Sun, as well as, do we utilize any other newspaper notices or advertisements regarding this to start as of tomorrow?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, so normally we go through the Rio Grande Sun, and a lot of times we also go with the Valley Daily Post out of Los Alamos. I don't know if they're still in circulation, but those are the two main papers or advertisements that we use, and also we post it on our website, and then physical posting throughout the city at the post office and at our city facilities as well.
As long as
Okay.
we meet the requirement by law, I'm fine.
So that would be my question is, would we be meeting the requirement as of tomorrow to have it on the agenda for the 23rd?
Mr. Chair, so I will follow up with the clerk's department to make sure. I don't want to go ahead and give an answer now and then be held to it, because I'm not too sure. But I will follow up tomorrow with our interim city clerk, Angelica Serrano, and we'll proceed on that, and then we'll inform this committee when we will be able to post it for the next council meeting.
Okay, and that'd be great. So councilors, again, so either it'll be Lord willing on the agenda for the 23rd. If not, we're looking at April the 13th, I believe, for our next full city council meeting. So either way, it should be on either one of those agendas. Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding that?
Would the New Mexican be an option to post it?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Councilor John Ritchie, we can, but I think the requirement is within the local city municipality, and we'd be covered with that.
Okay, sounds.
Okay, so we have those before us. Councilor Manny Martinez, any questions, comments, concerns regarding this matter?
No, sir. I'm just glad to see that it's finally going to move forward. That's way it can get taken to full council for a vote, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All righty. Well, honorable city manager, and if you'll go ahead and relay the message to the clerk's department on what we've discussed, I will yield the floor now to Mr. Ortiz. He does have a few comments that he'd like to state. Mr. Ortiz.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Salazar, Chair. Thank you, Councilor Martinez, Councilor Ritchie, Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez. Thank you, Chief Jimenez and Fire Chief Padilla and the city manager. So I just want to let you guys know, I also sat in on the meeting of February 23rd with Rio Arriba County. They are also going to look into revising and look into changing Rio Arriba County's or going to look at doing an ordinance. A little bit of information I found out just for your guys's info and stuff. So in 2016, Senate Bill 270 was passed by Governor Martinez at the time. At that time, if you read that bill, which is section 66, 13, 10, 11, sections A through E, vehicles are legal. These off-road vehicles are legal on the streets. There's stipulations, insurance, registration, blinkers. It explains everything to you. Also, just for your information, at present, right now, you've got 13 counties that have ordinances and allow this. And you've got 22 municipalities in the state of New Mexico that are allowing this with ordinances. And those are all on the website. You can look those up. So at this point, it's you know, I know one of the concerns was 68 and 84 and 285. Well, within 66-3-1011, there's a section there that specifically states that the municipality or the county, if it's within your municipality, the city government can make the call on that. And especially since the speed limit is 45 or under, it's up to you guys, and they can be legalized. The other thing is I had brought up and I had told the county, you know, there's for GRT's sake, you know, like in the state of Arizona, Sedona, Phoenix, different places, when people come from out of states to come and ride, let's say up 31 Mile Road or anywhere in our BLM land or whatnot, they actually charge out of state people I think it's $25 registration, temporary registration fee that goes to that municipality. Excuse me. So that's something we might want to think of. But just a heads up, the county, Rio Arriba County is looking at this. Like I said, feel free to look up Chapter 66 in the New Mexico State Law, Section 3 and 11. You can look on the Game and Fish website that gives you all 13 counties and all 22 municipalities. They also have copies of their ordinances on the websites. And you know, I'm glad to hear that this is on the right pathway to get passed. I thank you, Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez, Councilor Manny Martinez, John Ritchie, and Chair. Also, Chief Jimenez, I know you guys have all been working hard at trying to resolve this for us community members, which we greatly appreciate. And come summertime, I mean, summer's right around the corner. So this is going to become a hot item. And I'm glad to hear you guys are willing to really push this forward. And hopefully we can get something done. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Ortiz. Yeah, and it is very exciting just to get this moving and going forward. I can't wait till it gets to full council. All righty. Any other questions, comments, concerns, councilors regarding this item? Mr. Ortiz, follow up?
Again, I would just like to thank all of you guys for your time. Great work. Like I had said before, if I can be of any help to any of you guys, feel free to reach out. I can email you guys things I've looked up. Whatever you guys would need, I'm more than willing to help. I had talked with a few people. I mean, even if we have to put some type of stipulations on these vehicles just to get it passed, to get it moving forward, and then we can revisit it in the future would be awesome. You know, we just want to get this done, get it done the correct way. And again, I'm here for any questions or any type of assistance that any of you counselors may need, or anything that you think I could help you with. I'm willing. As long as my health allows me to, I'll be more than willing to help.
Thank you, Mr. Ortiz. Appreciate that. And all those are redlined under the ordinance draft that we have, or that I have in front of me that we all received months prior. So I'll encourage the clerk's department and so forth to go in and email us this ordinance as well. Again, this draft, should I say, that was approved by our city attorney, so we can all have and review amongst ourselves. And then when it comes before us, then we can go from there. All righty.
One more thing. Is there any way that, I don't know if you guys can or not, could I receive a copy of that draft just to see what it is? I mean,
I do not see why not, Mr. City Manager. Concerns regarding that?
Absolutely, we can share that. It'll be for public viewing, so we go ahead and disseminate that to whoever would like a copy.
All righty, sounds good, sir.
Thank you. If I could get that email to me, that would be awesome. Thank you.
You got it, sir. And if you don't mind texting me your email address, I think I have it via email. I can forward it to you here after the meeting.
Yes, sir. I sure will. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ortiz.
Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you so much.
You too, sir. All righty. I have no other matters from the chair. We will move on to the action, discussion, recommendation items to full council. Excuse me. We have item number 3, which is an action recommendation item. Propose the purchase of a speed trailer. We have us, Chief Roger Jimenez. Chief, the floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the committee, thank you for all the kind words. I appreciate it. And just so you all aware, I want to take
Hey, Chief, your connection must be a little bit
for
off.
not putting that ordinance on there. I apologize. I wasn't aware we were going to put that on. Can you all hear me okay?
Okay, now we can. It was a little bit delayed.
I'm sorry about that. So thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I want to take the heat for not attaching the ordinance. I wasn't sure if we were going to attach the ordinance. So I apologize for not doing that. Make sure that happens next go round. So before you, we have the trailer, the trailer that we had talked about and discussed several times over. This time we have it as an action item, and I'm sure you all are very familiar with it. So I will stand for any questions at this time, sir.
All righty, Chief. I do have a
I have a
question.
question.
Sure, Chief. Funding regarding to purchase this. What have you all thought? Have you spoken to finance, et cetera?
Yes, sir. We did. Myself and Ms. Gallegos, we discussed this, and we do have some funding that we found from vehicles, unfortunately, that we have crashed, or there was incidents where our vehicles were crashed into. So we're going to use some of those funds. Instead of purchasing a brand new vehicle, we're going to probably use some of those funds to purchase some used vehicles, and then use the rest of the money to purchase this trailer, since I know it's such a hot topic.
Okay, great. Councilor Ritchie.
I was asking where the funding was coming from. That was my question.
Oh, sorry to steal your thunder, sir.
No problem.
Kill two birds with one stone.
Councilor Manny Martinez.
No, sir, not at this moment, sir. Thank you.
Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez.
Can you tell me, Chief, what the procurement process was on this?
Yes, ma'am. So I believe we spoke about this last time. This gentleman is on the state contract. The other thing is that the funding actually is under the amount of normally
Right.
that we would take to full council. But
Right.
because this is such a hot topic, we decided to do this anyway so that everybody could chime in and speak on it. But the ones that we've looked at, I think I sent you a couple of different options.
Yeah.
For the ones that we were able to actually get quotes on, this is the version that you all liked the most, and this is the version that was that we found to be the most reasonable.
Do we have a motion for approval, Chair?
We do not, ma'am. So it is yours.
So move, sir.
Thank you.
Second.
All righty, we have a motion from Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez and a second from Councilor John Ritchie. If we can get a roll call vote, and real quick, Councilor Martinez, Manny Martinez, do you have any discussion?
No, sir. I just look forward to getting this equipment so that it can help the police department with. Hopefully, it'll help the residential areas in this community to slow down the traffic, not just at Valley Estates, but throughout the city streets, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. If we can get a roll call vote, please.
Councilor Manuel J. Martinez,
For the motion,
Councilor Peggy Sue Martinez,
In favor.
Councilor John Ritchie,
In favor.
Committee Chair Justin Salazar Torres.
In favor. Looks like we are moving this forward to full council. Thank you, Chief, for presenting before us.
Thank you all.
All righty, we have the next item on our agenda, which is a discussion item for a potential code update ordinance regarding distressed and nuisance properties. We have with us Planning Director, Mr. Hubler. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and members of the committee. So a couple of points on this I wanted to discuss. This is follow-up to the conversation that happened in January, the last time we did the clean and lean resolution. And based on the conversation at that meeting, we've taken kind of two approaches. At last night's Public Works meeting, I discussed with your colleagues the idea of a distressed properties list. And so hopefully they'll be reaching out to you. I requested that that we get basically nominations of properties to go on that list, and we would create a process by which we would evaluate those, rank those, maybe a field trip with that committee, and help us prioritize the projects moving forward. For this committee, what I wanted to discuss is a couple things that we're working on that are much more on the lines of public safety. As was brought up at the last at that meeting, there's problems that we have that were related to distressed properties that we have issues kind of addressing through our current ordinances. One of those, of course, is the situation with individuals, camping on properties even once their home or their former home has been removed. And then, of course, the other is the kind of persistence of some properties throughout the city that consistently have problems with both code enforcement and the police department and even the fire department sometimes. So I wanted to bring you guys up to speed on a couple things. The first is to get with your cohorts in your district to submit suggestions to my office by email or give me a phone call related to lists of properties we should be paying attention to. And then the other one is to let you know that Chief Jimenez and I and our attorney have been working for several months on an ordinance to address nuisance properties. What we tend to see is that a number of properties have kind of persistent problem tenants. And while we may have the capacity to deal with individual situations, one after the other, it's kind of a whack-a-mole type approach. And so this ordinance that we'll be bringing to you guys in the following months is designed to put some of that responsibility back specifically on the property owner and to help encourage compliance with kind of the desires of the city to promote safety, on their behalf. The other thing that we're going to be bringing forward, or that I wanted to discuss with you this evening, was kind of that much more nebulous and general issue about, how do we deal with individuals that, that whether they be directly related to the property or tangentially related to the property, kind of take advantage of that situation and utilize the properties in a way that's certainly not consistent with kind of the expectations of my office on the planning and land use side, and I think kind of the community in general. This includes, the kind of the tent city type situations. It includes individuals staying and, sleeping in perhaps vehicles or camper trailers or those things that aren't connected to utilities, that aren't dwelling units. And so I kind of wanted to see if this committee or the members of this committee had any thoughts on that. We're just at preliminary stages of discussing how to approach this, myself, city manager, and Chief Jimenez with our attorney to kind of figure out what does the city have recourse to do. Can we modify existing ordinances to kind of strengthen them, or do we need to create new ordinances to kind of address particular issues? So that's kind of my request for tonight is for kind of your feedback and thoughts on either the issues or possibly potential solutions that you're familiar with.
All righty, thank you.
I have a
Mr.
question
Hubler.
for that.
Councilor Peggy Sue
Chairman.
Martinez.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Hubler, could you give me like a time frame of what you're looking at, or is there a specific time frame that you're looking at, or what's going on with that?
As far as soliciting your feedback, or as far as getting something on the books?
Yeah, both actually.
Okay, so initially I wanted to share this idea with you to let you know that this is something we're working on, and absolutely to take any feedback that you have at this point in time. And then definitely, as we move forward, and as you may have other ideas, I just ask that you continue to share those with our office. Give me a call or send me an email so we can make sure to include that in kind of our ongoing discussions. As I mentioned, we've just started kind of around that more nebulous, what do we do with folks utilizing their properties in ways that aren't consistent with, kind of the zoning, the neighborhood, the expectations, the community desires. That's going to probably be a several month process before we even have a draft to bring back to you. It's obviously going to involve some fairly in-depth legal review as well. So definitely we have some time for anything you don't already know or think about right now. But I'm certainly eager to hear if anybody has any ideas or suggestions or concerns at this point.
Councilor Ritchie, any questions, comments, concerns regarding this item?
question I have, like with that, the situation with the campers or the people that set up tents, if we do nothing, are we legally responsible still? If we don't act, are we still responsible? Held liable for anything?
Yeah, Councilor Ritchie, that's an excellent question. I don't have an answer to that, and that is certainly one of the concerns that we've raised. Is if we fail to act, at what point is the city responsible? And the converse side of that, of course, if we do act in such a way to perhaps manage that kind of use, so that instead of having a camping situation that deteriorates to the point where we have to go in and clean it out with bulldozers, that perhaps we help manage that in the meantime. So it's not ideal, but it's not as bad as it could be. What kind of liability does that represent? Certainly communities across the country have taken all kinds of different approaches, and I'm sure everybody's attorney has a different opinion, but that is definitely one of the liability question is one of the things on our list with the city attorney.
Yeah, that's my key question, is what's our responsibility or liability in those situations, and that's where we have to rule on, is based on our liability. All right, thank you.
Councilor Manny Martinez.
Thank you, Chair. I guess my question is more along the lines, are we talking about properties that's in the camper or in the tent, or are we talking about people that actually allow, they let the person stay on the property in a car or in the tent, or, is there is that two different situations, or would this be both into one? I think you know where I'm going on this, because I'm not sure how much, kind of like, I guess, where the property owner has the rights to their property and what they're allowed to do as compared to, of course, someone that's just squatting on the property.
Absolutely, and that's an excellent question, Councilor Martinez. Those are definitely related, and they're both issues that we have seen. We know that there are individuals that are kind of taking advantage and saying, yes, you can park in my driveway, you can sleep in my backyard for $20, right? That doesn't seem right, and it certainly doesn't seem like something that the city would be inclined to allow. And then, of course, we do have a number of homeless individuals that are just taking advantage of any kind of unlocked and abandoned property for shelter. So both of those issues are kind of under consideration.
I've got a question, Mr. Hughes. Have we reached out to our surrounding neighboring pueblos regarding some of their properties and what's going on with this issue with code updates and ordinance? Again, I think you know where I'm going with this.
Yes, Mr. Chair, absolutely. And in fact, the project that was most recently completed just north of Ranchitos Park was in partnership between the city doing a good portion of the work on tribal property. Their legal system, of course, is very different from ours, but that has been a discussion point. And it's certainly something I understand from my conversations with their staff, is that it's something that they're monitoring and concerned about it, and want to see a good address, way to address it as well.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Councilor Manny Martinez, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay. I lost my train of thought as well, so that's all right. I guess another question I would have is the situation if there is illegal activity going on in some of these areas. After speaking with Mr. Frost, I realized a lot of what was going on there at the property in Ranchitos, as far as with the neighbors and the children and what was going on, and it was very disturbing to hear what was going on. Will that be put into this ordinance as well, or is that separate because it is a legal issue? Sir.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So part of what this particular process is about is reviewing the current laws and determining if they're sufficient. My general response at this point in time is probably not. And so that's part of our discussion, is to figure out what do we need to do to make them more effective, I guess, is probably the best way to go.
question, follow up, sir.
Absolutely.
My train of thought came back. I guess my question would be on this is, let's say I have a piece of property and I'm saying, okay, it's all right for you guys to stay here. It's okay to put your camper. It's okay to put your tent. Can the city, as an ordinance, require myself? Let's say it's me at the time. I'm putting myself in that. Like, say, Mr. Martinez, you're going to have to have porta potties. You're going to have some sort of sanitation in order to allow people to do this. Would that be incorporated into something like this, or are we looking at nothing at all? Because I'm just saying that if as a person I'm willing to allow people to stay on my property, I do feel that there should be some responsibility on that property owner to provide some sort of sanitation for these people.
That's an excellent point, Counselor. And one of the things that that we often hear in my office, because obviously a vast majority of what my office does is help individuals, property owners, to utilize their properties within the basic rules that we've allowed. So the zoning and the land use regulations and all that say, yes, you can develop your property, but they prevent you from developing your property in a number of ways that impact the negative health overall of the community, and obviously the immediate impact to the neighbors. So maybe your property, you can't just go open up a gravel pit in your backyard, right, as an example. So, there's a lot of uses that we are already regulating in a similar manner, and definitely there's room to incorporate some of this. Getting to the other side and kind of the first ordinance that we're a little bit further along on, predominantly because Santa Fe's already provided a good example with how they handle kind of some of these property owners where, that property owner may be a little bit too lenient or maybe even enabling illegal activity, that they're able to, and what we want to do is be able to go back to that property owner and say, look, in the last period of time, you as a property owner and your property has been responsible for X number of code violations, X number of police stops, X number of fire calls. You are presenting an undue burden on the neighborhood and on the community as a whole, and therefore you need to be responsible as a property owner, because we do have a number of property owners that at least my office and Roger's office has interacted with, Chief Jimenez's office have interacted with, where the property owner says, oh, well, that's my tenants. What do you want me to do? Right. Well, you have a responsibility to be responsible for your tenants, that's a basic kind of thing. If they break the law, and you enable that or permit that, you need to bear some kind of responsibility there as well. So that's the other ordinance that we're looking at as well. So these are all kind of intertwining, overlapping issues. But yeah, we are working on it, and I appreciate everybody's thoughts and comments, because I see a very particular side of it, particularly through code enforcement, and then of course the permit side. Chief Jimenez sees a very particular side of it, especially through kind of calls to dispatch and illegal activity. Chief Padilla sees a very particular side of it, dealing with the repercussions of irresponsible land use that results in unsafe or unhealthy individuals or accidents or injuries on the EMT side, or even sometimes fires, unfortunately.
Thank you, sir.
All righty, great. Counselors, I see Counselor Ritchie, your mic's unmuted. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Not at this time. I had one, but I'm pulling back. Thank you.
All righty, Counselor Peggy Sue Martinez.
I really feel like this is something that we could possibly even use a workshop on, just to sift through all the stuff. But I think we also have to include legal on everything we're doing here. So it's interesting, the discussions that have come about because of the recent activities that have happened. It's unfortunate that certain people get blamed publicly for stuff we have no idea that even occurred. But at the same time, I don't mind taking the heat for situations like this, because I really feel like our first and foremost responsibility is to protect the constituents. And that means that we have to make some hard choices where these kinds of situations are concerned. So yeah, I'm interested in furthering this a great deal, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes of it. So thank you very much, Mr. Hubler and staff.
Thank you, Counselor. Thank you, Mr. Hubler, for bringing this before us. I look forward to further discussions and getting into the nitty gritty of this all. I think it's good for our city.
Thank you, sir.
All righty. Well, if there's nothing else regarding this item, we will move on to our department reports. Up on the hot seat, we have the police department. Chief, you're up.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the committee, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So in front of you, you all have the department stats. I will take any questions about those.
Councilors, questions, comments,
And
concerns
if
regarding
there are
the
no
stats?
questions,
I have a question, Chief.
yes, ma'am.
I recently had some calls concerning some feral cats in the West Pueblo, I'm sorry, West Pueblo area.
Mhm.
I know we do have an ordinance concerning that, and a lot of neighbors in that area have told me that there's a lot of cats out there, and there's one particular neighbor that
Mhm.
has them on the porch, and they're just all over the neighborhood. And I'm curious if we have handled that situation or what is going on with that. Do you know?
Sure. Yes, ma'am, I do actually. I received the same complaint, and the person who was the reporting party, I sent the animal control officer, Mr. Benavides, out there. He called the reporting party. They didn't answer. He also went to the address of the reporting party. They did not answer. So he wasn't able to make contact. And so anytime that we have those issues, please just have them call dispatch, have them leave a number where we can contact them, because unfortunately we have to have contact in order to set up traps and whatnot, if we decide to go that route for feral cats. But I specifically reached out to Mr. Benavides myself and have the text message after he went to try to make contact with that specific area. So we can continue to do that if you would just have them call dispatch. We do have an animal control officer that handles those kind of calls on a daily basis.
Okay, I'll have them call 911. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. Councilors, any other questions, comments, concerns regarding the stats for the PD?
I just have a quick question. And Chief, can you just break down the response time? And doing the average would be fine. Just verify what those timeframes are of the en route, on scene, in total. What is that?
Yes, sir. So what happens is we calculate from when the call actually comes into dispatch, and so that is a part of the total. So once we get the call from dispatch and then dispatch receives the call, that's when the time starts. So that doesn't always mean that the officer was dispatched right when they got the call. Sometimes the officers are already handling a priority call, so the call may sit there a little bit until the officers are freed up, and then dispatch is dispatched out to them. So that's where all on en route is where they're saying they're en route to the call. And then when they actually go on scene means, from when the officer says I'm on scene, and then the incident is resolved and they go back in service.
So we're talking 12 minutes from dispatch to from receiving a call to sending out. Is that?
Yes, sir. An average. Yes, sir.
And then en route is only 7 minutes. So that's from when they get the call to when they get on scene. Is the
Yes,
average
sir.
is 7 minutes? That
Yes, sir.
seems real good. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And on the dispatch, why 12 minutes? Is it because of the call, the time of taking the call?
Yes,
Is it,
sir.
I mean, because that's, go ahead.
Yeah. Sometimes, like I said, the dispatchers for whatever reason, have to hold that call because the officers are already on a priority call, or they have to dispatch another priority call. So anytime those calls come in, whatever calls are waiting, unfortunately, that is going to increase that dispatch time. If that makes any
Okay,
sense.
so yeah, it is the time that it's on, that they're
Yes, sir.
on call. Yeah, that the call is active is what we're saying. from you.
Exactly. Yes,
That
sir.
it's either on hold or communicating with them, but we're holding them for, or dealing with them for almost 12 minutes. Okay.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Counselor Manny Martinez, anything for Chief regarding the stats?
No, sir. Thank you.
All righty. Chief, do you have anything else to present before us? Any
I do.
concerns?
I do. I thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I just want you all to know that one of our, two of our officers actually responded to what we got called in as a house fire. We weren't sure exactly what it was. And when the officers arrived on scene, we had two people that were inside of the house that it was engulfed in smoke. It turns out that these people were cooking, and we're still unsure why, but they, fell asleep, and the meal ended up starting a fire. So by the time the officers got there, two of the people inside were incoherent. They didn't know where they were at. They were stumbling around. One gentleman actually was passed out on the floor. So one of our officers actually went in and picked him up and carried him out of the house. So our officer was seen at the emergency room for smoke inhalation. Turns out he was fine, but that was an incident that happened this weekend. So we're going to be typing up a commendation, maybe even a Medal of Valor for this officer.
Nice.
For his bravery. Yeah. And then I wanted to share, recently we've been working with HIDA DMAP. This is an initiative, a nationwide initiative. What we're doing is we are monitoring any of the overdoses that are happening and occurring within the city. So what I will do next go round is I will send you all the, it is called ODMAP. And what it does is it tracks all of the overdoses in the area. So we know, and HIDA knows, okay, if we have certain amount of overdoses in a specific area, we can send resources out there, Department of Health out there, help out with Narcan. They contact us. We let us know what resources we need and what we can do. So that way, hopefully we can save some of these people, and then we can also tell if there's maybe, a different use of drug or a stronger drug in the city, and put that information out there. So that's another initiative that we're doing. We also are going to have another new hire Monday, and we should have another 2 more hires coming in with the next 2 weeks. They're going to be 2 cadet positions, so they will have to attend the New Mexico Law Enforcement Academy. So that's one thing that we're very excited about. And once we get these positions filled, we should have 2 more vacancies.
All righty, perfect. Thank you, Chief.
That's
Anything else that you'd like to?
now, sir.
All righty, counselors, anything for the chief before we let him go?
Real quick, what is our vacancy right now? How many?
So right now, sir, we have, with these new hires, I believe last I spoke to HR, we have 2 vacancies at this point.
And those are patrol officers?
Yes, sir.
And any applications, or what's the status on that?
Yes, sir. We do have applicants that we're going to be conducting testing going forward. The problem is because of COVID, we have to schedule with the Northern New Mexico College And so we're pretty much at their will when they can do the testing because we utilize their gain testing program. So that's kind of the holdup on that on their end. And then we also have to schedule with the schools to use the track to do the physical testing. So I don't foresee us having to wait too long to fill those vacancies. I'm hoping by the end of this month, we should have those vacancies filled.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
All righty. I don't see any other mics unmuted. So Chief, thank you. Have yourself a good evening.
Thank you. You all as well.
All right. Next up on the hot seat, we have the fire department. We have Chief Ron Padilla. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilor Manny Martinez, did you have?
No, I'm fine, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that. All right, Chief Padilla, the floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I hope you guys are doing well. First, what we have is our stats. Any questions on our stats?
Councilors? I do not see any mics being unmuted, sir, so looks like there's no questions, comments, or concerns regarding the stats.
Okay. Let's see here. I have kind of researched and wanted to put up some information on, I have been talking about a possible fire marshal position within the city of Espanola. There are a few grants out there I've been looking at, and hopefully we can tap into those in the next coming year. I think this position is very important and something that we need to start paying attention to, going in that direction. It's coming more and more obvious that our life safety inspections and our investigations that we're doing, excuse me, are becoming more frequent. We did have a possible arson this week on Sunday, and that is being investigated at with the State Fire Marshal's office and with our CID, our police department. It could have potentially gone really bad, probably injuring the person that was doing it significantly. So this is I know that we're in a time of financial need. This is just kind of some numbers to throw out to the governing body, the Public Safety Committee. These aren't exactly what I'm requesting, but I just thought I'd put that out so you guys can see kind of what it might cost to hire this person. And he's going to be a senior person. He'll be some part of the command staff, as well as arson investigation, public education, inspections, and life safety inspections also. So just something for you to look at. And does anybody have any questions?
Counselors? It does not look like it, sir.
Well, would that be?
I have a question. I'm sorry,
No, go ahead, Counselor. I apologize.
Let me make sure I'm not missing. Oh, there it is. It was just looking at the. Okay, no, I'm sorry. I didn't go all the way down to the report to see the figure. I have the information. Thank you.
Okay, so as these fees, we start collecting. I'm sorry, Counselor. With these fees, as we start collecting our fire fees, well, we'll start putting that towards this person's salary, and hopefully we can land a grant for that. And then it gives the opportunity for our firefighters to move up in rank to take a position like that. With that being said, the top 3 positions will be able to be on scene and fight fire and try to meet that 4 minute 4 people, and then 4 minute another 4 minutes, which is equals 8 minutes of 8 people being assembled at that fire scene. So just something to just giving you some numbers.
And Chief, this individual will be on the ground fighting fires as well?
Correct. So
Okay.
that will give us if between 8 and 5 during the day. If we have 5 people on, that'll give us 8. If we have 4 people on that day, that'll give us 7. And it'll start bringing up our ISO numbers as well.
Lowering
Any
I
questions?
hope.
Yes, I do too. That's what I'm shooting for, counselors. Any questions on that? And I'll move to number 3.
Nope, we're good to go.
All right. Well, we are fully firefighter staffed. Congratulations to Maggie Hart. She did pass her firefighter 1 and fire 2. And she already has her EMT basic. So that's a good plus. Diego Perez, he is a firefighter 1 and 2, and he just completed his EMT basic. So at this point, we only have one so-called cadet that is going through fire 1 and going to be going through fire 1 and 2 now soon, and then taking his EMT basic. So that is taking a lot of relief for those having them certified as firefighters puts them in the rotation to for some overtime, and it kind of relieves out in the field on the other firefighters. And number 4, that's tabled to next week. And number 5, I'm going to turn that over to Interim Lieutenant Nick Mangus. He's going to go ahead and discuss the EMS training portion of what's happening with the fire department. And then Pablo Montoya will come in and discuss the firefighting portion of our training with the direction that we're going with the city. Thank you, counselors. You won't see me anymore.
Sounds good. All righty, Mr. Mangus, the floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Currently, we do have 2 firefighters that are in their EMT advanced, which is an intermediate skill. That will allow them to provide a higher level of care, including IVs, advanced airways, more pharmaceutical drugs, stuff like that. That would be firefighter Trujillo and firefighter Schwazo that are in those classes, and those will end in May. We are required per year at a minimum to do 50 hours of CEs. We did obtain an advanced AMBU mannequin through the CARES Act grant, which is really exciting because this mannequin can pretty much simulate anything we would see on the field, from cardiac arrests, anaphylactic reactions, trauma situations. You can actually drop airways in this mannequin. You can start IVs on this mannequin. So it's really exciting. So we're trying to do with the other part of the training, which firefighter Montoya will get into. We try to have CEs for every training that we do. And that's pretty much it right now, unless you have any questions.
Counselors, any questions? All righty, Mr. Montoya, the floor is yours, sir. And sir, we still cannot hear you. Is your mic on itself? We'll just wait a few minutes. Mr. Montoya, if you'd like, you can give me a call on my cell phone and I can put you on speaker. My cell number is 505-927-4299. That again is 505-927-4299. Connecting to the audio. Sir,
Did he
you're
call
on
you,
mute.
Mr. Chair? You're muted, Pablo.
How about now?
There we go. All
Okay,
right.
I had to get on my phone. I don't know what's going on with my laptop, so I'm sorry, everybody. But good evening, Chair and members of the Public Safety. As Nick mentioned earlier, that we are now, I don't know if actually he mentioned it, but Chief Padilla has now assigned him and myself as part of the training team. And we're moving forward with the future of this department in the training aspect of it. And Nick is very knowledgeable in the EMS, and I have been taking over the fire portion of the training. Real quick, just before we get into that portion, I know Chief Jimenez is not here with us anymore, but I know he did touch base on this recent fire we responded to, where his 2 officers pulled out a couple individuals from the home. I wanted to second that because the home was actually, it was a very bad environment when we got there. So that officer that went in there took some very brave skills to get in there and get those 2 people out. So I want to again commend them for doing that. As well as our recent structure fire that we just went to, we had several of the city officers there, which helped out tremendously. Just a couple extra hands to get some tools and equipment goes a very long way. So unfortunately, he's not here to hear that, but I want to share that with everybody. So far for the fire portion of it, we already have our yearly schedule put out that we put out for everybody. We have a good training once a month, a hands-on training. Right now this week, there's a fire instructor course going on that we have, I think, 5 or 6 individuals in. They are going to be able to be certified in instructing in the fire service. In April coming up, we have a fire officer class going on, and that gets into a little bit more of management skills and advanced firefighter techniques, stuff like that. We have several other trainings going on, driver training, our fire ground ops, extrication. We're trying to host another extrication class where we get into a lot of EMS and fire skills combined. Later in the spring and the summer, we have swift water, rope rescue. We've got a whole bunch of trainings coming up that we are going to continue getting proficient and precise in our skills that we have to perform on a day-to-day basis. So I just want to kind of touch base also why these trainings are so very important, because we just, as everybody said, we responded to that structure fire a couple days ago, and it was quite a fire, I'll tell you. I've been on quite a few structure fires, and this one was going pretty good. The individual that owned the home had quite a bit of dangerous items, not necessarily day-to-day items, but he had propane tanks. He was a welder, so he had acetylene tanks and welders and ammunition and guns. And I mean, there was a tremendous amount of danger in that fire that actually we and the surrounding agencies, not to pat myself on the back, but to pat ourselves on the back, we handled that fire pretty good, and nobody got hurt. There was no injuries to report. So with something like that is very good to report, because you don't have to go back and explain why somebody got injured or maybe not even made it home. And this is why we do these trainings, and this is why we are going to continue to do these trainings, and why there's so much is so we can be precise in what we do, and so every single one of us can make it home to our families. If there's any other questions or anything, I am free for those.
Alrighty, counselors, any questions, comments, concerns? Counselor Richie, I see your mic unmuted.
I just want to acknowledge and thank you guys for your professionalism and your courage. As they say, you're the ones running in while we're running out. And again, also kudos to the training. That's the more training, being prepared for all events that are out there. So great job. And then it goes to the leadership in the department. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Just Mr. Chair and members of the committee, just real quick. This structure fire was out of our district. And I really believe after speaking with, it happened at 0300 in the morning, with these guys being on scene, and after myself getting there a little later on and discussing the whole situation, if we would have been there quicker, I mean, as in if it would have been in our district, and not through the way that we get paged out from district to district, I think that this would have been a very viable save. If time is an essence within the fire department, those minutes are very, very crucial. So we got on scene first, and then we turned that fire over to Rio Arriba County La Mesilla Volunteer Fire Department, and they did a wonderful job working with us. And thank you guys for all your support, and thank them for always being there for us as we're there for them. And you guys have a great night. Thank you, guys.
Great. Thank you all. Appreciate you. Have a good evening. All righty, we will move on. We have the Honorable Stephen Salazar with us from Municipal Court. Your Honor.
Gentlemen, ladies, Commissioner, or Counselor, Chairman, members of the public safety, good evening. I worked really hard on my background so that you could enjoy the valley.
I was going to say, looks like you might be in Cancun, sir.
I worked really hard on that picture. Nice to see your faces, hear your voices. Just a straightforward a report. We're keeping up as much as we can. We opened up our lobby on Monday, and we've had a lot of people visiting the court, and we've had a number of people doing community service. We picked up a lot of trash in the Ranchitos area in front of the Merhedge Farms. The guys were raking the weeds. They were raking the trash, putting them in bags. There's just a lot of trash out in the community. And I had a meeting with my staff, and I asked them to try and plan cleanup for sometime in April, just to try and pick a date, shoot for it. If Rio Arriba County goes into the green category, then we can have a little bigger public gathering. Right now in the yellow category, our public gatherings are very small. So my guys are still out there trying to pick up trash, and they're also covering a lot of graffiti. We ran out of this Hacienda color paint, which is where Starbucks is, and the Shoe Depot by Taco Bell. All those places get tagged regularly, and we ran out of paint, so we had to purchase that color of paint. And we've been busy. We've been busy with a lot of things with court and other projects. So any questions?
Great. Thank you, Your Honor. Counselors, any questions, comments, concerns for the Honorable Salazar? I do not see any mics getting unmuted, sir, so looks like there's nothing else. Sir, do you have anything else to report on?
I'm just honored to be here with you as my colleagues, and you guys can call me at any time. Anytime we collaborate with everybody in the city, and we hope our city gets to the green category real soon. I'm really hoping for our state to open up, and I want our kids to go back to school. I want them to play high school sports. And I had my son graduated in 2020, and it was a horrible, high school senior year for him. But it'd be nice to open up the schools and get the seniors back to school and watch some high school sports again.
Sounds good, sir. Appreciate you. Have yourself a good evening.
All right, gentlemen, ladies, good evening.
All righty. Next up, we have planning and land use. And Justina is with us. Mrs. Trujillo, the floor is yours.
Okay, good evening. I'm not sure if everybody can hear me. If you can, that would be good if you could let me know.
Yes, we can hear you.
I can hear you.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm just gonna let you guys take a look at it. If you have any questions about any of the data, anything that looks a little funky, anything that doesn't make sense, just go ahead and ask.
Counselors, questions, concerns, comments regarding planning and land use in their report? Counselor Peggy Sue Martinez, I see your mic unmuted.
No, I don't have any questions at this time. Sorry.
No problem. Let's see. I see no other mics unmuted. So no, looks like there's no questions, comments, or concerns regarding the report. Is there anything else, Ms. Trujillo, you'd like to report on?
Just one thing. If we're looking at the current happenings, it's always good to just give a small little update on what we're doing. So far, what I've been trying to do and get ahead of with Mr. Hubler is we're looking at kind of, I guess, getting the violations a little bit more non-specific, if that makes sense, so that we have a little bit more room when I start making cases for properties. There's a little bit more room to focus on individual properties instead of just keeping like a very large realm of the violation that's occurring. As far as that goes, iWork has been doing really well. Violations are getting a lot easier to pinpoint for myself. Since I've been on the job for a while now, things are getting a lot easier as far as getting around during the week. As it was stated in the beginning also, the few concerns of properties, I would love for those properties to get marked down if you can, counselors, and send them my way or send them to Director Hubler and he can relate those to me. I would love to get out there and see if I can help.
Sounds good. We appreciate that. Is there anything else for planning and land use?
You want to look for your Louis Vuitton, or already did?
I just want to say welcome to you and thank you for your attitude and can-do kind of attitude. And we certainly appreciate an open communication to communicate concerns. Like I mentioned earlier in the meeting, I don't know if you were already on or not, but I do have concerns about some property that is along the ditch in Justin Torres Salazar's district. And that couch that's on South McCurdy has been there for a long time. That's concerning. And just other things, I'm wondering if it's possible that we might do a service somewhat like Los Alamos County has a heavy pickup service for if a constituent has an old couch that they need to go to the dump or anything like that. One day a week, they send people to go pick those up, and it's a nominal fee that they charge to do that for people. But I think it stops things from getting thrown all over the community and in Arroyo. So it's something that I would like to explore a little bit further as far as heavy items that are getting thrown around our community. And again, I thank you for your open door. I really appreciate that.
And Mr. Hubler, I see you with your hand up, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that's an excellent consideration about those large item disposals. And I don't know, this is putting Councilor Ritchie maybe on the spot a little bit, but I do understand that North Central Solid Waste, one of the things they're considering with their operational, reworking that they're doing is perhaps things like a tire amnesty or a day, similar to what Santa Fe County does. Or even, like a large items type of disposal kind of thing. So I don't know, Mr. Ritchie, if you're able to address that, because I think that's definitely an excellent point that Councilor Martinez raised.
Yes, regarding the tires, that until the COVID came up, we were looking at purchasing a shredder for tires, and so that we could help alleviate the tire issue and be able to take the tires, because again, that's a concern. We take them. If we can't dispose of them properly, we're just going to have a buildup. So that's an issue that we were working on, and we're bringing it back to our conversation and trying to move it forward. Regarding the large item pickup, I'm going to bring that to our committee meeting for North Central and see what we can do, especially, since you can, charge a service fee, we can see if we can incorporate that at North Central. So thank you, Councilor Martinez, for suggesting that.
And Councilor Ritchie, the punch cards are currently available, right?
At City Hall.
Yeah,
you
here
can
at
get them at City Hall.
That's also an option, instead of just taking the couch and dumping it on the side of the road.
Yep.
Come and get your punch card and go right on down to North Central. And Mr. Hubler and Mr. Trujillo, if you do not mind keeping us informed once that couch and tire situation is alleviated, that'd be great.
Also,
Absolutely.
Chairman Torres Salazar, I'd like to recognize the efforts of the city management and the staff cleaning the cleanup that took place this week at Prince Ranch. Man, it made a heck of a difference, the work they did out there. And I just really appreciate that. So thank you again.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilor Peggy Sue. I see, Councilor Ritchie, any comments, concerns? I see your mic unmuted.
Yes, I just wanted to Director Hoover.
Councilor Ritchie, you're cutting out, sir.
I'm sorry. Any clear? No.
Sir, can you rephrase can you restate your question or comment? Your mic's cutting out.
Yes, I was. Can you hear me clear?
Yes.
Am I clear?
Yes.
Okay. My concern is that the Santa Nino Mobile Home Park was working on cleaning up the park, but in the last 2 months, I've seen it stop, and I've just wanted to know if Director Hubler has any information on their progress, because I know that he was working with them in the fall.
Yes, Councilor. We were working with the manager of that park prior to kind of the holiday break. We've not had kind of any requests from him recently, and I can converse with Ms. Trujillo related to her rounds in that area. I've not been down there myself since before Christmas, so I don't know how we're at doing down there in the last couple of months, but we can definitely take a look into that.
Councilor Ritchie, your mic again, sir. Councilor Ritchie. All righty, we may have lost him. Counselor Manny Martinez, I see your mic unmuted, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. Before I speak, are you able to hear me fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I think this question might be more for Councilor Ritchie, but I know that there is a big tire problem that's constantly havocing the ditches or even just the little arroyos that are within the city limits. But isn't there some sort of a recycling company that, although North Central Solid Waste might be collecting them, would be able to contact to come pick up those tires from them? So that this way they would at least be able to clean them up from out of the city, even though they may have to store them for a short time till some recycling company might be able to come get those tires, sir. Just a question, see if there's something we can do. I'd like to, I mean, that's something I would like to have seen more so, and I know that we spoke about it with the GM of North Central Solid Waste, stating that it wasn't feasible to do recycling, but I think it's very important that we start looking at this to see how we can handle that within our city limits, or how we can start recycling, whether through the city or through North Central Solid Waste.
Counselor Rich, are you back with us?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't know I was losing you guys, and I did lose you. So I'm back. You hear me clear?
Yes.
Okay. Like I stated earlier, we're going to readdress the tire issue because, again, we don't have a facility. I mean, in an emergency, if to get tires that they're talking about over on McCurdy, we take them to North Central and store them. But what we have to do is look at a long term of how we can dispose of them. And again, one of the options is cutting them. But again, we're having to, it's staffing and also funding the equipment. So we're going to be addressing that again this, most likely this next meeting. I'll be bringing it up and seeing what we can do.
All righty. Counselors, anything else? All righty, I don't see anything else. Mr. Hubler, Mr. Hugh, anything else you'd like to make the committee aware of? All righty. Y'all have yourself a good evening. We appreciate you. Last but not least, we have with us Project Race, and I believe we have with us Miss Justine. You're up, ma'am.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, Chair, members of the committee. So I believe you guys were able to look over the packing material I provided for this evening. Is there any questions?
Counselors, questions, comments, concerns regarding the Project Race material? Counselor Ritchie, I see your mic unmuted, sir.
Yes, I just wanted to, I was looking at her reports and I saw she was having classes and had almost over 100 participants. Excellent job of being able to reach out during this time, especially on a Zoom or however the operation you used. But good job reaching out.
Thank you, Councilor Ritchie. Those classes, sorry, Chair. So just to answer your question or your comment, Councilor Ritchie, so those classes, just so you're aware, and members of the committee, those classes are the classes that are being held in McCurdy Charter School, EVHS, and Carlos Vigil Middle School. And those classes are through our Botvin's Life Skills curriculum.
Excellent.
All righty. Counselor Manny Martinez.
No, Shrine's fine. She actually answered the question I was going to ask. Thank you.
All righty. Let's see. Do we have with us Counselor Peggy Sue? I don't see her. All righty. All righty. Anything else, Ms. Justine, you'd like to share with the committee or present before us?
So I just want to add just some housekeeping for race. So I'm not too sure if Chair, you're aware, and members of the committee, but Miranda Lopez, our student outreach coordinator, is no longer with race. Her last day was February 5th. The student outreach coordinator position is still open at the moment. We have one applicant so far, so we're keeping it open until we could hold interviews. So if you guys know anyone that is looking for a job, that is over 18, and is okay with full-time with benefits, getting paid $14 to 15, I believe it's 23 or 25 an hour, and working in the community and working in the schools. So it's very sad that Race lost a very valuable and hardworking employee. So, but just an update on that. I'm not too sure if you guys were aware.
Yes, unfortunately, we were aware, and we appreciate the asset she was to the city and to Project Race. Councilor Manny Martinez?
Yes, what are the requirements for that position?
So the requirements, so the job description is posted up on the city webpage under the employment category. So they could access the job description there. And I know that on the requirements, it does indicate that the ideal candidate does have to have an associate's degree in the related field, like psychology or schooling, anything like that. But that's not really necessary. I mean, associates would be great in some kind of field, but if they have at least some experience in the related field, it'll definitely work as well. And what I'm doing right now, which I'll probably do tomorrow, is I'm going to reach out to the Northern New Mexico College to see if there's any, students that may be interested in a job like this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Councilor Ritchie, anything else?
No, sir.
Ms. Jacine, anything else
Thank
you'd like
you.
to present?
So just two more updates. I know you guys want to
No,
end the
absolutely.
meeting and get home. So earlier, Chief Jimenez was mentioning the OD maps with the reporting on that. So just a quick update. I am working with HIDA because it is a HIDA initiative. I'm working with them and also working with our dispatch and the chief to do the reporting. Miranda, when she was still here, she started doing this reporting back in December. And well, unfortunately, she can't no longer do it. So Race is going to go ahead and take it over. They're still going to keep it with us. We talked to HIDA a couple weeks ago. They said, that Race will still be doing the reporting for that. So once I start doing the reporting, there was some issues with the new account that they were trying to set up for me. I will be getting those reports and sending them to HIDA and to Chief. And I believe Chief is an admin on that, and he'll be able to look at the reports as well. So just a quick update for the future, I will be updating my packing material with the data or reports that I retrieved from the OD maps, just so you guys are aware of what's going on.
Great.
And then one more quick update. I'm not too sure if you looked at the PowerPoint that I provided. So that PowerPoint is our new evaluation plan for Race. That is something that Race and HIDA have both been working on for a couple months now. And this evaluation plan was presented to the HIDA Executive Board Committee. And they approved it. They were very, very pleased with what was presented. And, because of that presentation, we actually got a lot of partnerships going with like the DEA and actually Albuquerque Police Department and a bunch of people within HIDA initiatives, like from Texas and El Paso and all these different places. So it was a good hit. So my packing material, just so you guys know, might be changing with the new measures and outcomes and SMART objectives that we've added in that new evaluation plan.
Nice. That's good to
And
know.
that's all I have. So if there's any ending questions.
And let's see, I do not see any mics unmuted or hands being raised. Ms. Justine, we appreciate all that you do. Thank you for keeping us informed, and you have yourself a good evening.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
All righty, counselors. We have our next meeting tentatively scheduled for April the 7th. Do we have any objections to the 7th of April?
No, sir.
All righty, looks like we're good to go for the 7th, so we will move forward to that. Counselors, motion to adjourn, gentlemen.
Motion. So moved.
Second.
All righty, we have a motion from Counselor Ritchie and a second from Counselor Manny Martinez. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, everybody. Take care.
Good night,
Appreciate you.
Chair. Thank you. Good night.
Y'all have a great evening.
Take care.